The sound of roaring engines echoed through the quiet neighborhood as a group of bikers rode down the street, leather vests glistening under the golden afternoon sun. They were loud, bold, and impossible to miss, the kind of people most parents instinctively pulled their kids away from. But that day, something no one expected happened. A little girl, maybe 6 or 7, burst out from behind a row of old apartment buildings, barefoot, hair in tiny braids flying behind her, tears streaking her dusty cheeks. She ran straight toward the thunder of bikes, her tiny arms flailing as she cried out, "Please! Please help! They took my brother!" The lead biker, a tall man with a thick beard and tattoos crawling up his neck, hit the brakes so hard his Harley screeched. The others followed, engines rumbling to silence one by one. The man took off his helmet, his eyes narrowing in confusion and concern. "What did you say, sweetheart?" he asked, voice deep but surprisingly gentle. "They took him," she sobbed, clinging to his leg. "Those men, they grabbed my brother and put him in a white van. Please, please help." For a second, no one moved. The only sound was her trembling breath and the distant wail of a siren somewhere in the city. Then the biker leader, known among his crew as Tank, turned to his brothers. "You heard her," he growled. "Let's ride." Tank wasn't new to seeing pain. He'd been in and out of foster homes, prisons, and halfway houses before he found his way to the biker club, Steel Souls, they called themselves. They weren't criminals anymore, though many people still thought so. They did charity rides for veterans, food drives, and kids' hospitals. But this was different. He crouched down, placing his big hands on the little girl's shoulders. "What's your name, kiddo?" "Keisha," she sniffled. "My brother, Jamal, he's only 9. We were playing by the park and a white van stopped. 2 men got out. They grabbed him and drove away." Tank exchanged glances with his crew, 8 rough-looking men, each one with hearts far softer than their appearances suggested. "You see the license plate?" Keisha shook her head. "It was dirty, but I remember a sticker on the back. A red one, it said Hawk Tools." Tank nodded, standing tall again. "That's enough. You stay right here, Keisha. We'll find your brother." "No," she screamed, clutching his hand. "You can't leave me. What if they come back?" Tank's heart clenched. He saw a reflection of his own little sister, the one he lost years ago to a drunk driver, in her trembling eyes. He handed his helmet to one of the bikers. "Spider, stay with her. The rest of us, mount up." The engines roared back to life. Within seconds, the pack was gone, tires screeching as they tore down the road, following faint leads into the unknown. They split up into 2 groups, scanning the streets near the park. Tank's mind raced as he replayed Keisha's words. A white van. Hawk Tools. The city had only one industrial supplier by that name, located near the east side, an area crawling with warehouses and narrow alleys where anything could happen unseen. As they approached the industrial district, Tank's gut twisted. The place reeked of oil, rust, and secrets. He slowed down, signaling the others to follow suit. "Eyes open," he barked. "If that van's here, we find it." Then, like fate answering their call, one of the bikers pointed. "Boss. There." Parked near a rundown warehouse sat a white van. The back doors were slightly ajar, rocking gently in the wind. The red Hawk Tools sticker peeled at the edges. Tank's pulse pounded. He cut the engine and slid off his bike, motioning for silence. They approached cautiously, hands instinctively resting near their belts, not for weapons, but for whatever they might need to protect a child. Tank peered through the cracked door. His heart froze. Inside were old boxes, rope, and a single torn piece of a boy's shirt, Spider-Man print. "Jamal," he muttered. Before he could call out, a loud voice echoed from behind the warehouse. 2 men, both burly and rough-looking, were arguing near the side entrance. "I told you to tie him up tighter," one shouted. "If that kid screams again, we're screwed." Tank didn't think. He moved. The others followed like shadows. Within seconds, the bikers surrounded the men. The first kidnapper barely saw them coming. A fist, Tank's, slammed into his jaw, sending him sprawling. The other tried to run, but one of the bikers tackled him to the ground. Tank grabbed the first man by his collar, eyes burning with rage. "Where's the boy?" The man coughed, blood on his lip. "Why, you don't understand." Tank slammed him against the wall. "Where?" "In the basement," he gasped. "Behind the crates." "Please, man." Tank didn't wait. He stormed inside, kicking down the door. The air inside was thick with dust and decay. His boots thudded on the concrete floor as he followed the sound, faint whimpers echoing from below. He found the stairs. At the bottom, tied to a chair, trembling and gagged, was Jamal. "Hey, buddy," Tank said softly, kneeling down. "You're safe now." Jamal's wide eyes filled with tears as Tank untied him. The boy clung to him instantly, burying his face in Tank's chest. Outside, the others had already called the police, making sure the kidnappers couldn't escape. When Tank emerged carrying Jamal in his arms, the entire street seemed to freeze. Spider stood with Keisha, who broke free from his grasp and ran full speed toward them. "Jamal," she screamed. Her brother wriggled out of Tank's arms just in time for her to tackle him with a hug so tight it hurt to watch. They both cried, loud, broken sobs of relief, as Tank and his crew stood silently, the adrenaline draining from their veins. Within minutes, police sirens wailed. Officers swarmed the scene, handcuffing the kidnappers and questioning the bikers. One officer, a young woman who clearly wasn't expecting cooperation from a group of leather-clad bikers, asked, "You guys really tracked them down yourselves?" Tank nodded, his voice low. "Kid said her brother was taken. We just did what anyone should have done." The officer raised an eyebrow. "Not everyone would have chased down kidnappers on motorcycles." Tank shrugged. "Then not everyone's doing enough." Word spread fast. A passerby had filmed part of it, Keisha's desperate plea, the bikers roaring off, and later, Tank carrying Jamal out of the warehouse. Within hours, the video was on social media. Within days, it had millions of views. People called them heroes. Headlines read, "Biker Gang Saves Kidnapped Boy, Little Girl's Cry Leads to Viral Rescue." But to Tank and the others, it wasn't about going viral. It was about a moment that reminded them why they'd formed the Steel Souls in the first place, to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. A week later, Tank parked his bike outside the same neighborhood. The sun was setting again, painting the sky with orange and purple streaks. He walked up to the small apartment where Keisha and Jamal lived with their grandmother. She greeted him with a warm, tearful smile. "Come in, son," she said. "They've been waiting for you." Inside, the two kids jumped from the couch. Keisha ran first, wrapping her arms around his waist. "Mr. Tank." Jamal followed, clutching something in his hand, a small drawing. It showed a row of motorcycles, a little girl, a boy, and a man with a big beard standing between them like a giant guardian. Above it, written in uneven letters, were the words, "My heroes." Tank took the drawing, his throat tightening. "This is beautiful, buddy." Jamal grinned shyly. "You saved me. I want to be like you when I grow up." Tank knelt, meeting his eyes. "Nah, kid. You just be brave like you were, that's enough." Keisha tugged his sleeve. "Do you ride bikes every day?" He chuckled. "Most days." Her eyes sparkled. "Can I ride one day too?" He smiled. "When you're older, you'll ride, promise." Before he left, their grandmother pulled him aside. "Thank you," she whispered. "The world's got too many people who look away when they see pain. Thank you for not being one of them." Tank nodded quietly. "I used to look away," he admitted. "But not anymore." Later that night, Tank met with his crew at their usual diner. They sat around the same booth they always did, the smell of burgers and coffee filling the air. Spider scrolled through his phone, shaking his head. You seen this?